Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and I want to talk to you today about the Avengers. Yes, it's number 358,000 of our video collection on the Avengers, but there is still more to discuss, because when you look at things like Iron Man, where it all began, you can hardly imagine that now we're here at the end of Infinity War with so many plot threads that are overweaving each other, and all of these just started from a single nugget. It's kind of brilliant to think of, isn't it, really? To see movie details that are so small in one film become fully fledged plot points in others. So let's talk about foreshadowing, shall we? Yes, we shall. With this in mind, I'm Jules for WhatCulture.com, and these are 5 incredibly clever uses of foreshadowing in the MCU. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. Number 5, Red Skull's ominous prophecy, the first Avenger. Now, when Red Skull was killed at the end of the first Avenger, his fate was left so vague that many people speculated that he would indeed return, and in Infinity War we got to see that happen. Even with Hugo Weaving expressing desire not really to play the character again, the Red Skull surprisingly turned up, actually having been trapped by the Soul Stone and cursed to be its guardian because of his relentless pursuit of the Infinity Stones. However, if he was paying attention to the old Tower Keeper in Norway back in the first film, then he might have survived this grisly fate. When the Tower Keeper states that he'll be burned, it's not referring to the act of teleporting, but to the curse of living in a timeless loop. And after suffering this until he's freed, he then understands the message and understands the power of the stone. After all, it demands a sacrifice, which we'll come back to later. Number 4, the Endgame, Avengers Age of Ultron. Tony Stark was, somewhat understandably, quite annoyed at Doctor Strange when he gave over the Time Stone to Thanos in Infinity War, but what he didn't really understand was that Doctor Strange had gone to many different timelines and seen that there was only one in which it turned out well for the heroes, and that Tony Stark had to survive. However, Tony demands to know why, and Strange responds with, "We're in the Endgame now." Which doesn't really seem too chipper a message, doesn't it? But if you think back to Age of Ultron, it actually becomes a strange message of hope. In the earlier film, Stark pretty much said the same thing. A hostile alien army came charging in through a hole in space, we're standing 300 feet below it, we're the Avengers. We can bust arms dealers all the livelong day, but that up there, that's the Endgame. How were you guys planning on beating that? As a man driven by ultimate goals and who is willing to pay the price for victory at any cost, he should have been able to read between the lines and see the glimmer of hope in Stephen Strange's words. Number 3, Project Goliath, Iron Man 2. So, in Iron Man 2, we got our first confirmation of Black Panther in the form of Wakanda appearing on a map. We also, by the same token, got the fact that Namor might also be a future entrant. But there's also a big hint in there as to another future MCU appearance that gets slightly overlooked. When Stark is researching a means to cure his palladium poisoning, he asks Jarvis to access some of his old files to see if there's anything that will help him. He says, "Tap the Oracle Grid. I need some things out of storage. Give me everything from Projects Pegasus, Exodus, and Goliath." Now, it's the last one that actually piqued my interest, as obviously we've just had the Ant-Man and the Wasp film come out, in which we learned that Bill Foster was actually working on Project Goliath, which is basically the serum that makes things go big. It also hints that if Stark is looking at health-saving options, then it foreshadows that Foster is working to find a cure for Ghost's condition. Number 2, Tony blames himself, SpiderMan Homecoming. You kind of really have to feel for Tony Stark, don't you? I mean, anytime he gets close to another person, they end up in mortal danger. His parents were killed by the Winter Soldier, he saw Happy Hogan almost murdered by an extremist attack, Pepper Potts was infected with the same disease, Rhodey was paralyzed in Civil War, and then Peter Parker ended up being killed at the end of Infinity War. And yet, Peter Parker's death was actually foreshadowed, because in Spider-Man Homecoming, he says, "If you died, I feel like that's on me. I don't need that on my conscience." And can you guess what happened? Yes, that's right. Peter Parker disappeared quicker than any chances of me phoning your mum back after she'd given me all the goods on the first date. She's an absolute slut. There's my one per list. That one actually felt quite harsh. And number 1, Gamora is Thanos' favourite, Guardians of the Galaxy. So, when Thanos met the Red Skull and discussed the possibility of what the Soul Stone does, the Red Skull mentions that he has to sacrifice something he loves in order to attain it. And we should have known where this was headed. Even as Gamora was scoffing at Thanos, suggesting that he was defeated because he'd never loved anything and couldn't sacrifice anything to pay the stone's toll, the slow realization should have dawned. Because we already know that Thanos did love somebody. It was Gamora. He had other children in the shape of his followers, and certainly he valued them, but in Guardians of the Galaxy he referred to Gamora as his favourite daughter. So yeah, from that early moment we kind of already knew that she was doomed to be the sacrificial lamb. Sad. And there we have it. Those are 5 moments of ridiculously clever MCU foreshadowing. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below, but before you go, maybe you'd like to check out this video that I've done on the gaming channel, or this show that I do on the wrestling channel, which is the most insane things happening in wrestling each week. It's a good laugh. Come and join me there. We'll have some fun. As always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!